Hey, football fans, welcome back to another episode of Lions Latest, the show where we gather around to talk about the greatest team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. I'm your host, Bryan Hanes, and we have a final few things to talk about ahead of this Thanksgiving matchup, so let's jump into the video. But beforehand, if you've enjoyed what you've been seeing and you haven't already, make sure you go hit subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss a single video here. Everything helps us a lot, and it would also be super great to, carry on this journey past 1,000 subscribers with you. I'd love to have you guys in every video. With that being said, let's get in the video. Starting with rookie production, just kind of going based off, we're in a good past the middle point of the year now. I want to talk about how our rookies have been doing, what their snap counts are looking like, and where they've grown. And based on the game against the Giants, it looked pretty good for some of our rookies. Isaac Tesla had 28 snaps, 41% of the team snaps, and had 9 snaps in special teams. He continues to see this uptick in snaps while Sam Laporta has been sidelined, and outrepped Khalif Raymond for the first time in a game where both of them were healthy. Starting to see we're getting him worked in as our wide receiver 3. He hasn't gotten crazy production in terms of receptions or touchdowns since those first 2 weeks, but I think it's good that we're not forcing him to be out there and be crazy as a rookie. I think he could do it if we wanted him to, but I think right now he's developing behind a guy like St. Brown and JMO is going to be really good for his future production. I like what I'm seeing there. Dominic Levitt, only 2 special team snaps, 6% of the team snaps. Not a lot of snaps for Levitt, who I thought was going to be the returner in either punts or kickoffs. We haven't really found a good place for him yet. I think as Khalif Raymond gets a little older, we might start to throw him in more, but we have yet to see that. Until then, it's all speculation. Tate Ratledge, 68 snaps, 100% of the team snaps on offense, and then he had 6 special team snaps, which is 19% of that. The Lions' offensive line has stayed healthy this game against the Giants, as all 5 starters played every single snap in lieu of the 2 tight end packages. The Lions have gone back to utilizing Skipper as for the jumbo pack in those run situations, and I see Ratledge's play improving significantly since the early season struggle. He has earned the starting job, has become a powerful run blocker. He's especially helped Jahmyr Gibbs in the run game, and started to build chemistry with those veterans. I don't know how long Taylor Decker's going to be around. Graham Glasgow's getting older too, but it's definitely good that he's getting that synergy down at a point of the season where we need to start winning games. Tyleik Williams, the big one, the first round pick, 45% or 45 snaps, 55% of the defensive snaps, which doesn't sound crazy for our first round pick, but Williams was playing single digit snaps a week ago, or 2 weeks ago rather. However, his workload has increased significantly as Detroit continues to figure out the rotation up front, because we have a lot of good guys to work with. Roy Lopez being one of those guys who kind of came out of nowhere too. We're starting to have to mix in these guys, rotate them in and out, and I've liked what I've seen in that front. McNeil saw some snaps even playing as an edge, and Lacey had a bigger workload after taking a dip last week. So Tyleik Williams, I like that they're giving him more and more and more, and he's just getting better and better and better. It's not showing on the stat sheet yet, but I'm sure once he gets that big sack, that big game-changing play, it'll be hype for Tyleik Williams. That's what I got on that, though. Just some players doing better, some players not getting as much. I think our rookies are doing good so far, and I like that we're putting them in a position where they can still develop, and we're not forcing them to have to go make game-deciding plays for us right in their first season. I think that's smart with rookies, all things considered. Now we're going to go into our second topic, just some of those key matchups I talked about we would be discussing before the game, starting with, let's first talk about this. The Lions are actually favored to win this game by about 2.5 points for most odds, or for most betting apps, stuff like that. Green Bay is coming off of a 23-6 win over the Vikings. Detroit rallied for that 34-27 triumph in the New York Giants in overtime. The Packers, who are 7-3-1, have won 2 in a row, are second in the NFC North, and 1/2 game behind Chicago. The Lions, who are 7-4, who have won their 2 of their last 3 games, are third in the division, 1 game behind the Bears. Now, we talked about the running game being important for the offense, but Josh Jacobs has been limited in practice this week, which could make things a little difficult for the Packers, even though Emmanuel Wilson did pretty good last week. They have players like Matthew Golden and Quay Walker returning, though, so that'll help the team for sure. We have some players coming back, too, though, and we'll talk more about that and that one right there. But Thanksgiving curses us every year, despite how our offense plays better at home for some not for some reasons, the home advantage, right? Thanksgiving just continues to curse us every year, and we just tend to not look great. The ghost of Thanksgiving past would still linger. Detroit had lost 7 straight Thanksgiving games until beating the Bears last year. However, that win didn't really feel 100%. It didn't feel like a dominant win, considering their coach really just sold the game for Chicago. Eberflus just horrible clock management, and that's what honestly led to the end of that game. So there's a lot going into this Thanksgiving game. There's a lot riding on the Lions season. There's a lot riding on the Packers season, and there's a lot riding on Detroit fans wanting a Thanksgiving win so we can be happy when we cut the turkey. Now, here are some matchups we got to look at. JMO versus the secondary. I've said it once for this team. I'm going to say it again. Jameson Williams' performance against the Green Bay Packers is expected to be a key element of our offensive strategy, primarily by stretching the field, allowing forcing Packers to look at him, forcing safeties to account for his speed, and the focus on Williams should then, in theory, open up opportunities to guys like Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Packers secondary, which some analysts regard as not having significant depth and also not playing very well, could be vulnerable to his athleticism, especially if key players are injured or playing new roles, which they've had to move some guys around in that secondary. The Lions offense is expected to test the Packers defensive backfield, particularly in single high safety formations. The success of the strategy, though, does dictate whether or not Williams has a breakout game or just serves as a decoy. Pardon me. In the week 1 matchup against the Packers this season, Williams was actually limited to 23 yards on only 4 receptions. And that suggests that the Packers have had some, success in containing him in the past. But this could just be the game now then he wants to bounce back from, and he maybe learns from how he got covered in that first game. Now, the second big one I want to focus on is Josh Jacobs versus our defensive line. Just because of how Jordan Love has been playing, he hasn't been fantastic by any means. He hasn't been crazy accurate, crazy mobile, nothing crazy for Jordan Love. So I feel like they're going to want to rely on Josh Jacobs to really get them established. And just because he's limited right now doesn't mean there's a 100% chance he doesn't play, so we have to prepare for him. In week 1, Josh Jacobs had 19 carries for 66 yards and a rushing touchdown in the Packers' win against us. He also caught his only target for 4 yards, and we can't let him get going. I mean, he didn't have a crazy game against us week 1, but he was definitely the guy who moved the chains, got that touchdown, and helped them get that win. So I think the Lions need to do a good job at containing him first and foremost. And I think we can do that. The Lions have a very strong running defense, ranking among the best in the NFL. It is considered a borderline top 10 unit by most analysts, excelling in areas like rush per yards or yards per rush, defensive success rate, and limiting big runs of 5 or more yards. Key contributors include capable tacklers at all levels, right? We have some really good guys stuffing that line like Jack Campbell, who has a high PFF run defense grade. The linemen and linebackers are run stuffers for us, and they've been really great. The team ranks 11th in yards per rush with 4, 9th in defensive run success rate. They rank 11th in the league for allowing rushes of 5 or more yards, and the team has capable tacklers, like we mentioned, Jack Campbell, one of those really good guys, and we have a high tackle success rate of 57.7, which is the highest or the 4th highest in the league. I don't want to get us too gassed up. And Jack Campbell, like we mentioned, is really the standout guy with a PFF run defense grade of 91.9, which leads all linebackers in the league. He is going to be crucial at stopping Josh Jacobs from getting going. And if we can stop him from getting going, we can put more pressure on Jordan Love, and that's been working this year for most teams. I think another good one to look at is going to be Hutch against them. I think that's always one that we got to think about, getting Jordan Love discomfort. And then St. Brown against their guys. I think it's going to be more of, can JMO get things going? We'll have to wait and see what happens, but those are the key matchups I think we should be looking for into this game. You guys can let me know. Now, I want to talk about this right here because it's not just Arthur Maulet being gone. He did get waived. They made a decision to waive Arthur Maulet this week, and according to NFL media, he was waived prior to the game against the Packers because of room decisions, also just clientele decisions, and he was real. And you know what? Maulet was solid. He was able to assist Kelvin Shepard's defense as the unit dealt with just a crazy amount of injuries in the secondary. The first half for the first half of our season against the Bucks, the 32-year-old was able to record an interception, but because the team parted ways with Maulet after the trade deadline, he is now subject to waivers. We'll go grab him. If he's able to clear waivers, he's able to then sign with any NFL team as a free agent. This may come as a surprise to some, dropping him after he's been pretty solid for us in a situation where we needed that depth at cornerback. But Terrion Arnold has just cleared the first hurdle of the concussion protocol, and to be able to return, and we're expecting him to play Thursday. However, as expected, Kirby Joseph will not be playing. So with some good, there's also some bad we still got to worry about. Despite this, Dan Campbell is fired up and has been preparing himself for this rematch mentally. He said, quote, "This is great. Well, it's what I told the team last night. First of all, everything is about the mental. They've got to come back in, and really we just jumped right into Green Bay. There were a couple things we hit, but I mean, literally, you have to go right into this game, and it's the next game plan. And you've got to everything that was in your head about the defense, about the way that they played, about those matchups. You got to take that right out. So just end quote. So just resetting, going up and playing your game plan, and now especially because there's been so much time to develop since that week one with our new coordinators, with some of our new players, our new center, new defensive tackles. I think we've really meshed better as a team overall, so it's going to be a whole different matchup. Mollett performed well for the Lions despite his short tenure, totaling 14 tackles, 2 passes defended, and an interception in 6 games before being waived. He was brought to the team to provide depth due to injuries at cornerback, and he was a solid stand-in with the Legion of Whom. If he is gone, it must mean we have faith in Arnold and Dorsey to hold it down without more injuries, and we're just going to have to hope they both stay healthy from here on out. Cornerback DJ Reed has also been activated from IR and after suffering a hamstring injury in week 4. He was placed on injury reserve in October, but returned to practice. I think it was like last week. He was able to play against New York, but didn't really go out. So this means we should have both our starters for this Thanksgiving game. So while it's like, oh, we're getting rid of some depth at a position we've been worried about all year, the team is saying our guys are back and they're here to stay. So I'm cool with that, and I'm excited to see what they will do against the Packers because I love having my starters back. Let's just hope they're actually better than the Legion of Whom. But that's what I have on that. Thank you so much for your time in Detroit, Arthur Mollett. And now just some of your comments. Brent DeWitt says, next draft, I want a center, tackle, edge, and quarterback / wide receiver later. Hope Brad picks up a 3rd-round pick, but not counting on it. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get that 3rd-round pick back just because I think Brad already kind of knows what the team needs and they're already starting to look for stuff. If they do pick up that 3rd-round pick, it'd be super awesome, but we'd have to give up some other stuff, and who knows what he's even willing to give up. But yeah, I agree with you. Center and tackle, 2 big ones. The two big ones. Maybe get an edge in the 4th round. And then, like you say, get some depth pieces at corner and wide receiver later. Hopefully we get a breakout guy. I agree with what you're saying there, Brent DeWitt. We're just going to have to wait and see. But thank you so much for your comment. And finally, Commando Woody says, not to sound negative, but that game against the Giants made me lose a little confidence in the Lions. Other than Gibbs, our offense has been really off. If a team can shut down the run, the possibility of us winning is slim. Games like against the Packers, the Eagles, and the Vikings, where we lost and our run game was also ineffective. I feel like we rely way too much on the run game because we simply can't get the catch game always going. Yes and no. Absolutely. When our run game does bad, we tend to do bad as a team overall. And I think that's just where the adjustments need to come from the coaching staff that we really haven't seen this year yet. I don't think we rely too much on our run game. We have St. Brown. When Laporta was healthy, we had Laporta. I mean, we have JMO if we can get him the ball, right? And Jared Goff is a very talented pocket passer. Like, we can get that pass game going. Sometimes it's just the play calls aren't great, the pacing isn't great. And to your point, when the run game isn't established early, that stuff we like to do with play action, with the RPOs, with the motion plays, they don't work as well in those late in the 3rd, 4th quarter where we tend to do them more and more and start to look a lot better. So yeah, you're right. I think we do. It definitely was a little scary, but also the Giants are a good team, like I talked about in my last video. They're not as bad as their record suggests. They're just dealing with a multitude of injuries. So I see what you're saying, but I wouldn't say we rely on the run game too much because we saw what Gibbs did when we put the ball in his hands. I mean, we're spreading the ball to our playmakers, and some games it just doesn't work out that way. We're just going to have to see what happens against the Packers. Thank you for your comment, Commando Woody. With that being said, we're out of time today for this episode of Lions Latest. Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you made it to this point in the video, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss a single video here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Go Lions, and I will see you in the next video.